Good morning, developers. If you are new to the channel, my name is Rob, and it is Algorithm Monday, the day that we work on our creative problem-solving skills, come up with good solutions to our applications by just doing some code challenges. And today, given a string, create a new string with 80 unique spellings using the characters in that original string concatenated together. Include the correct spelling in your final solution. So if you want to just go for it, please do. I am going to use JavaScript today rather than Python. This is fairly straightforward. There's not like a really complicated solution. It's the only way to get there. There are lots of ways to do this. The reason that I came up with this is because I did a video recently on regular expressions, and I wanted the intro to be kind of fun. I wanted a massive block of text, and I would have one correct spelling in this huge block. And as I wrote the regular expression, it would match maybe most of them, and then it would match fewer and fewer and fewer as I went along. And I'll put it up here on the screen. And so as you can see, we have, it looks like chaos. And as we go through, we slowly weed it down. It was important to have little blocks. So let me show you here quick. We've got, let's say the word hello. It needs to be at least hello length because there's 120 ways to write hello. If you drop a character, there's only 24 ways, so it needs to be at least 5. Mine was 28, I think. But we need, say, an E, an H, an L, an O, and an L. So that's one misspelling of our 80. And then we'll go on to the next one, and we'll do L, L, H, E, O. You get the idea, right? We need 80 units. And so, again, my task or my hope in the introduction was that this thing would maybe pop with the first regular expression, and so would this, and then I go a little bit farther maybe, and this one falls out, and so on. So that was the idea behind it. Just some good string manipulation, some loops, pretty straightforward. If you're ready to tackle it, go ahead, and I will meet you back here with a little bit of pseudocode. Well, the first thing that I am going to do is we obviously need to create our string, and it needs to have a little bit of length. Mine's going to have 28, and we are going to coerce this into an array. So we're going to take the string. It'll be easier to loop over and to work with as an array, grabbing indices. Again, there's lots of ways to solve this, so you don't have to do this, but that's how I'm going to do it. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to loop. I'm going to put up here 79 times. You can go 80. Strictly speaking, if we have 80 unique spellings, one of them needs to be the correct, which means we'll have 79 bad ones. I'm going to do 79 bad ones, and then I'll insert the correct one at the very end. So you can do it either way. It doesn't really matter. But this is our outer loop here. 3, our inner loop, and I'll switch colors for this part. Loop from 0 to word length. I guess it should be string length, but string length minus 1. So we're not grabbing the characters one at a time because it would grab them in order. We're going to grab 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as we loop through it, we are going to grab a random character. So I'll put that in here. For number 4, we will grab a random character. And of course, this is inside of this inner loop. And so we're on, say, loop number 1. We'll have this first box. We'll grab a random character out of hello, and we'll say that's an L. We'll go to the next one. We'll grab another random character. It'll be O, and then we'll grab an H, and then an E, and then an L. And then we will be done with this particular, this iteration of number 79. Except because they have to be unique, number 5 here, confirm unique. If so, concat, else, redo. So we have to keep going until we find a unique one. And realistically, if you have a 28 character word, every single one is going to be unique because it's going to be so absurdly, the number of possibilities is so absurdly large. But just we'll put that code in because that's part of the requirement. That's number 5. Number 6, and I'll put that up here. Once we are all finished, so we have finished our 79 times through, insert correct spelling at random index. Okay, and you can do these things any way that you want to. The way that I am going to grab the random character, I'll go ahead and put that in here. I am going to use splice here, and I'm also going to do it here. That's one reason why I made it an array, because it's really easy to grab an index, pull it out, return it, and use it that way. Okay, this is pretty much it. When we are done, we'll print it out and we'll see how it looks. Hopefully it comes out looking like the other one. Again, I'll link that video in the description if you want to see. I was really happy with how it came out, but let's go code this out. I am over to VS Code and I have a file called misspelled strings from string.js, and I will put a link in the description to the final version of this file, which will be on GitHub. And then I have a few starter lines here. You don't have to use VS Code. Use any code editor you want naturally. And I'm gonna run this directly in Node with the terminal like this. So if you are more comfortable with the browser, just make an HTML file with some script tags and look at your feedback in the console. There's no difference. It's just it was easier for me to pull it out of the terminal. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. So if you are new to JavaScript, I will do a review of everything at the end. The very first line I've got here, line 2, is a variable called words. And I didn't put this on the pseudocode, but this is going to be the array where we keep all of our misspelled versions. So we're going to stack one after another until we have 79 things in there, and then we'll add lastly the correct spelling, which will get us to 80. The first thing we had in our pseudocode, number 1, was to define our string and coerce, that's kind of a scary word, for convert it into an array. And the reason for that is because I'm going to use splice. I mentioned this on the board, but splice is not available on strings. You'd have to create a polyfill or something like that, and there's no reason to do that. The array methods are just easier to work with in this case for me, so I am going to convert it. Line 4, this is the 28 characters that I mentioned I'm going to use. Use anything you want. I'll put this in the description so you can copy it as well. But this is a master copy of our string. We are going to make a string as array, and I am going to run str.split open close on the empty string. So a master copy of our string as an array. So I'll console.log this real quick so that you can see kind of what I'm working with. Again, I'm going to move through this part pretty quickly, but we've got an array with one character in each position. Okay, so comment that out. That was item 1. Item 2 is to loop 79, and I'm going to put a tilde in front of that, 79 times. The reason it's probably 79 times is because we're going to have to keep going until we have 79 versions in words. We're going to check every time to make sure that we have a unique copy of the misspelling before we add it. If we happen to run into a duplicate, we're not going to add it, and then it'll just go back to the top of the while loop. In that case, we'll run more than 79 times. Now, I've got 28 characters. The chances of a duplicate are so absurdly small that we're almost certainly going to run it 79 times, but I'll put that there just so that you know. We're going to have a while, and we're going to do while words.length is less than 79. And if you're new to JavaScript, I'll show you how after a while, but if you're new to JavaScript, make sure that you don't get caught in an infinite loop, because that is no fun. We're going to start off with a copy of string array. I don't really like that variable name, but we need to make a copy of this thing, and I'm going to use spread syntax. In the old days, before spread syntax, you could do this, or this is how you would have done it. You could do slice, open, close. These do the same thing. The reason for this is because, again, I'm going to use splice, and that will mutate the original array. If we mutate the original array, then and we use this thing, it's going to end up with 0 characters, because we're going to be grabbing a character off of it and putting it into another variable. This is going to end up empty, which is going to cause problems. So we need to make a full copy right here. We're going to make another variable. We'll call this word, and that'll be an empty string, and it'll be where we make this version at. So this is an array. One at a time, we're going to grab a random index. We're going to grab the letter that is there, or the character, and we're going to concatenate it to this string. Okay? So we will do while. I am going to grab copy of string array, and we're going to keep going while that has length. So as long as this is bigger than 0, that means we still have a letter to work with. Keep looping as long as we have a character to grab.
And this was actually number 3, so I'll drop that in there. We want a random number, so I'll do const rand equals math.random. If you're new to JavaScript, this creates a random number between 0 and 1 that's 16 digits long. Well, we can't use that. We want this to correspond to one of our indices. So again, in my case, the first time through, I want that to be 0 to 27 because those are the index or the indices that we have to work with in our array. So we're going to multiply that times copy of string.length, but that's going to be a weird decimal number. That's going to be a number between 0.0000001 and 27.99999 or whatever. So we're going to put at the front of that math.floor, and this will generate, yeah, there we go, generate a random number between 0 and string length minus 1. So again, the first time through, this is going to be that between those two numbers, and we're going to math.floor, which means it'll be 0 to 27. 27th index being the very last one, 0 being the very first one. Okay, we're going to take this word and we are going to plus equal copy of string array dot splice, go to random index and remove one element and return that one element. We're not going to add anything right now. So again, what splice does, and I'll make this note here, splice goes to rand index and removes one item and returns it. So I think this is number 4, where we are grabbing a random character and we have put it on there. We're gonna now do inside of the big while loop. This is going to be number 5. Confirm it is unique. If so, add it. And we're gonna add it to words. So we're gonna do if, and I'm gonna do not words dot includes open close this word. What this line does is it's going to go to the words array, see if this word, which is the one we just built, right? This is the new misspelled version. See if this is inside of the words array, okay? Rather, if it's not inside of the words array, then words.push this word like that. That is going to increment the size of our words array and give us our escape hatch on line 8 here. Once we hit 79, we will end our loop. So at the very end of our while loop here, I will console.log words.length, and it should be 79, at least I hope so. Come over here and run our code, and there we go. We can add in here maybe a counter, and this may be a good idea if you're having issues. You can have let count equals 0, and inside here count plus plus. You can add a clause, and I'll do that in a little bit. If the count gets too, well, we'll just do it now. If words.length is less than 79 and count is less than 10,000, this is a way to protect yourself from an infinite loop if you're having issues. This should be true if words is getting bigger. If it's not getting bigger, you can't run more than 10,000 times, or this wouldn't be true and our while loop would exit. So I'll throw at the bottom here our counter, and they are equal. And that is because my string is so ridiculously long. If I strip this down to just, let's go down to this, where we've got just these 5 characters. Yeah, we're going to have quite a few extra loops because there are going to be a lot of duplicates. Actually, it looks like it's pretty consistent there. There we go. We had some bad luck there. If I stretch it out one more character, we will still have some duplicates. It won't happen very often. And as I said, once you get out to 28, realistically, you're almost never going to have one. But the count is kind of useful to show that is in fact working. The last thing we need to do is number 6, insert the correct spelling at a random index. So we'll do const rand equals math.random, just like before, times, I'm just going to put in here 79. We know how long the array is. Up here, we grabbed the length from the array, but we know it's 79 because we hard-coded it in here. If you want to put in words.length, you can. But we do need to do math.floor like before because we need it to be an integer. And we will do words.splice because it is an array. We're going to go to the rand index. This time we're not going to delete anything. And we are going to insert, so the third argument we send in is going to be our master string because this is the correct spelling and this is already finished. So we'll put in here str. We had been building this word, right? This is the string we were building. Now we're just grabbing the original correct string and putting it in there. And words.length should now be 80. And if we console.log, I'm going to do words.join on the empty string, turn our array into a giant string. That's what this does here. If we hop back over, run our code one more time, there we go. We get this terrible mess. I'm going to copy that. Let's come over. I'll make a new file quick. And let me turn on word wrap. And I will search for our string in here to make sure that it worked. Oh, there we go. It found it. It found it one time, about halfway through. So run it as many times as you may need to make sure that it is going in the correct spot. But that does the trick. Thank you so much for watching. I'll do a quick review if you're new to JavaScript and want to kind of go over it again. But if you've got other solutions, you took very different approaches, I would enjoy seeing what they are. So one last pass through. Line 4, we have our original string. In line 1 here, we've got an array where we're going to put the misspellings of this inside that 79 times, and then the 80th will be this one itself. Line 5, we convert that into an array so that we can use splice, which is a really convenient method for what we're doing. Splice doesn't exist on strings. So we've got an array, and this is the master copy that we're going to use. Over and over. Rather, we're going to make copies of this over and over. We added in here line 8, just a counter to protect us from an infinite loop in case that's happening to you. And also count is kind of nice to be able to tell how many times it ran. Line 11, this is where we make, and I'll throw out that comment into here, make a copy of our master array. So string as array, that is this in array format. We need a copy because splice mutates, and I'll make that note as well. Splice mutates, and I'll just let's just move this comment up a line there. Because splice mutates, we need to make a copy of that master array. Otherwise, we'll always be changing the same thing. Line 14, this is where we're going to build. This is the string where we're going to build our word at, or this particular version. Keep looping, number 3, as long as we have a character to grab. So copy of string array is going to get shorter, and this word is going to get longer. And I'll go ahead and drop that line in there. We'll do console.log. We will do this word.length, and we will do copy of string array.length. So this is going to show up every time through the loop. In my case, we've got 28 characters, so we're going to go through at least that many times. This is going to be, it's going to start off at 0. I guess it's going to start off at 1 because by the time we get to this line, it will have added a character. But this is going to start at 1, and this is going to start at, 27, and they are going to slowly switch sides. So if we run our code again, scroll up to where, there we go. So 1 and 27, we took one from this and added it here, so that's why we're at 26. We took another one from here, added to that. That's how we got to 25, and on down until eventually this had all 28 in the wrong order, and we had exhausted our array. So I'll comment that out. Once we get done, and this word has 28 characters, and copy of string array has 0. We need to confirm that this is unique, and so we use the includes method on our words array to find out is the word we just made in there. Okay, if it's not, that's what the exclamation point is, then we're going to push it on there, and we go back to the top and keep doing that until we have 79 in there, or we've run 10,000 times, which means we're probably simply stuck. Last thing, line 6 here, or item 6, we grab a random number out of our 79 possible elements, stick our correct spelling in there. So go to random index, don't delete anything, and add this element in at that spot. This tells us how many times we ran and how long our array is, and we print out our final string, which you can see here. Okay, thanks again so much for watching. I will link another Algorithm Monday video. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.